So I think what we have and competitors do not is the offer of the fast delivery and big groceries at the same application. So our one platform offers both Yush, which is 15 to 20 minutes delivery. The assortment range similar to a typical supermarkets that we have, and much wider assortment that is offered by Delio. So I think none of the players have that at the moment.
Hi, I'm Adrian Gola. I'm head of retail and consumer goods at SIA Poland. Today with me there's a person who got the light job.
Hey, thanks a lot first of all for the invitation and welcome to our warm office. Dennis here, leading Light e-commerce operations as a CEO, known for Yush and Delio brands for our customers.
Yeah, exactly. Your name is Light, but actually nobody knows that it's actually part of the Żabka group, yeah?
Exactly. Żabka Yush, that's what most of people know, but we also have second service Delio on the same platform.
Mm-hmm. And Dennis, your story is kind of interesting because you relocate to our beautiful Warsaw from Hong Kong. So if you can tell us a little bit or describe how this actually happened, because I remember you were engaged in the development of the Food Panda in Asia. How this happened that you are here actually in the Central Europe?
Indeed, the story started in Hong Kong, also finished in Hong Kong, but there were 12 countries in the middle. And yeah, I spent 10 years in Asia, from Hong Kong to Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore. It was really incredible journey, top growth of the startup scene there. But then it felt like it's the time to come back to Europe. So when I get a chance to hear about Żabka plan to venture into Q-commerce and add it to their digital offer, it sounded extremely exciting. Although at that point of time, I think I had little to know about what Żabka is and also a bit more about Poland. But then I started doing my research and also talking to friends of mine who live in Warsaw. And everything they were mentioning about the country, about the company sounded very promising. Mm-hmm. So as an example from that time, I remember that I was really astonished by the fact that Poland had fastest growing GDP per capita in Europe. I think it was 10x in the last 30 years. And that was one of the considerations for me because we're coming from fast-paced Hong Kong environment and my family wants to stay somewhere not in a completely laid-back country, mm-hmm. But in a country with hard-working people. And I think that's what Poland is. Also, we considered who the people are, and I think extremely smart and intelligent Poles. And I think moving here, I really understood that that's the case. And most importantly, they have very creative solutions to the problems. And I think that's amazing in the Q-commerce scene because it's still an emerging business and there's still many unknowns. So a person with the creative out-of-the-box mindset is really good fit for the business that we do. And probably last but not the least, the culture. The Slavic culture is very close to my heart. So that's why moving back to Europe was just a good time, and Poland turned out to be a great place for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then it's jumping back to business because you mentioned Q-commerce, but actually it's kind of a new term actually, yeah? Maybe it's not that new in Asia, but within this part of the Europe, I believe is somehow 5, maybe 7 years old actually, right. Even maybe less, yeah, depending on the market of the country. If you can explain what actually Q-commerce is.
Yeah, it's convenient and fast delivery of daily products that you want. And those daily products, I think currently Q-commerce is dominated by food and groceries. And mm-hmm. we focus on groceries mainly, so both of the services. And we offer very fast delivery of 15 to 30 minutes on the Yush side and then 1 hour delivery on Delio side, and cover wide variety of the products that people want to have. So I think that's what represents the Q-commerce nowadays.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find, because the Q-commerce in Asia, I believe, is a little bit more mature than within this part of the Europe. How do you find the differences within the Q-commerce there and here actually?
Yeah. In fact, there are many similarities that I can see, and that was also quite eye-opening for me when I moved. Definitely, it's about speed, and in the beginning, the speed was all about 10 minutes, 15 minutes delivery, and I think that hype was everywhere in Asia and also a first wave of Q-commerce players in Europe. Now, what we see across the globe, including Asia and also here in Europe, is that the customers are actually okay with up to 30 minutes delivery. And as long as you provide that convenience, ease of use, they're perfectly fine to wait a bit longer. And that's what we see companies in Asia changing towards. That's what we are supporting as well a bit, because we continue offer the very fast delivery with Yush, but we also innovate with the 1 hour delivery offered by Delio. And I think that's what actually we're a bit ahead of competition in Asia, because there everyone really focuses on like ultra fast delivery, which is complex and expensive, but that's what Asian customers prefer a bit more compared to Europeans.
You mentioned the word innovation, yeah, because actually it's kind of the innovation here in Poland. So how was it actually building the new kind of setup, new business model within our country? Because people were not used to this kind of the services. So how did you manage to set it up in Poland? How did you manage to scale it actually?
It has been a challenging journey, but as I mentioned, we had very creative and intelligent people in the team, and I think they did really amazing job in the beginning. Even before I joined, there was already a network of locations found and communication with the right suppliers and so on. But definitely there are lots of learnings from Asia, because there I was leading 12 countries and was in charge of the regional operations. So it was starting from building the very first dark store in Taiwan as an example, and then scaling it across 12 countries, more than 360 stores. So I think that speed, that hyper growth that we experience in Asia help us to replicate and even improve many things that we built here in Poland. And I think I'm quite proud to say that with the team here, we've built world-class operations, and they are extremely standardized. They're very consistent and delivering high quality service to the customer. So I think it's like hard work of our employees, a bit of learnings, and I think we applied the best ideas from both worlds, from Asia and Europe, and that helped us to bring Yush to life, and then later on Delio to life, and now they are all in one platform where customers can just get both fast deliveries and big groceries deliveries in one place.
But definitely there were some challenges.
100%.
So, if you can share, of course, this is kind of the secret or confidential information, but if you can share what were actually the biggest challenge which you faced during the early times.
I think starting from the top, we have still very low penetration in the online grocery market. We can check the numbers, but I'm sure it's like less than 2% in Poland. Less than 2% of the groceries being bought online, while we have benchmarks in close neighboring Germany of 10%. I think UK has late teens up to 20% of online penetration in grocery sector. So I think that's first component that makes this business a bit challenging, because the top line is yet to grow. And I think just purely by bringing the awareness, which we work very closely with our mother company to improve the awareness of the business, and that will give you easily 5 to 10x improvement on the top line. But then when it comes to operations, there are definitely challenges to attack. They are related to the last mile delivery for sure, because this is the faster you want to deliver a product to the customer without plan, but like do it on demand, the more difficult it is. But I think we are tackling it quite well with the set of technologies, also with the tools that we are building in-house, investment that we put into AI and machine learning as an example. And I think all that helps us a lot to turn these challenges to opportunities rather, and build on them and basically make the operations very, very scalable and top-notch, I would say.
And I just wanted to ask you, do you know Rafał Brzoska?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so he is the CEO and founder of the Paczkomat, like InPost company. Okay. So in one of the interviews for the, I think, Wiadomości Handlowe, he mentioned that he doesn't see much the future of the Q-commerce, actually, or he's saying that maybe one or two entities will only stay on the market. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, there is definitely future. So as we just discussed in the previous question, I think it's easy improvement of 5x to 10x just purely by pushing the awareness. But then you improve the service, you add adjacent services, additional categories to deliver, and that gives you a lot of potential. What I think about also what we offer to the customers is the convenience and speed, and most importantly, non-tangible thing is the time back. You don't need to spend hours and hours roaming around the aisles in the supermarkets to pick up your groceries. We do it for you, and we do it with a high quality, so you don't need to worry about the quality of the product. You select about the touch and feel, and for the time that we save, you have the same time to spend with your families. And I think that non-tangible component makes this business model quite viable and attractive in the long term. So all we need to do now is to push the awareness of that to the market.
And you mentioned we haven't touched it yet, but technology actually, of course, we got this large hype on the AI and all this stuff. And I think that Light is kind of the cutting edge or top-notch technology adopter, actually, let's call it this way. So if you can share a little bit more details on that, if it's possible to share, not to give some confidential information for your competitors.
Right. I think it all starts with a very strong team, and we have data engineers, data scientists, and they do really amazing job on implementing the technology to the practice. We definitely implement the AI. Even let me just give a few examples. So to predict how many Kaizerkas will be sold on Monday evening in Mokotów, we of course use quite advanced models, and such a simple example, but shows how much complexity is behind that. And I think we do it quite well. Then another components related to personalization and distincting different customers. There are some customers who we want to give, who we want to encourage to give the first trial, but also there are some customers who are already on our platform and we want to retain them. So for them, we have slightly different motivations in order for them to stay or to give it the first trial. Then logistics optimization. We care a lot about our riders, and we want to make sure that they earn more than competition. They earn more week over week. And for that, we have a software that helps us to optimize the routes, make sure that they have more and more orders in their basket, but at the same time, limiting the delivery time so our customers are still happy. So I think it's just a few examples that are where this technology is applied, but there are more and more implications for the future that we are looking at and working at with the team.
And do you think are there any more unique kind of selling points against competitors?
So I think what we have and competitors do not is the offer of the fast delivery and big groceries at the same application. So our one platform offers both Jush, which is 15 to 20 minutes delivery, baskets or SKUs similar, the assortment range similar to a typical supermarkets that we have, and much wider assortment that is offered by Delio. So I think none of the players have that at the moment. And then all the things that I mentioned before on the quality of the service, which is thanks to our operations team, personalized experience, which is thanks to our data team, and all these things on the platform make it stand out from the competition.
So let's come back maybe to technology.
Yeah.
And your business is kind of seasonal, I would say, because during the summertime, probably the number of orders is lower, but during the let's say winter time, on cold times, rainy times in Poland, the number of orders is higher. But then actually the numbers of riders, I think it's flipped flop, the other way around. How do you manage this? Yeah.
Right. That's one of the challenges that we have, but I think every player on this competitive market has the same. So indeed, we have to follow the seasonal trends and prepare much early in advance when we want to activate more campaigns to recruit the riders, when we want to give some incentives to our customers in order to purchase more when we have when we have enough riders or even influx of the riders that we can use. So I think this is definitely a challenging component of our business, but I think that's what we master quite well with the technology that we have. And again, repeating again that the people that work in the team, they're very, very strong and committed. And as a result, we can see really good performance. When there is peak or when there is a valley, we are able to maintain good customer service, so meaning that the deliveries come on time, but also balance it with the productivity of the fleet. So I think that thanks to our technology and the people that we work.
Mm-hmm. And can you share a little bit like plans for the future for Żabka? We know that the Żabka Group or Żabka is setting up the organization in Romania, as far as I think it's not any more confidential information. Yeah. So if you can share if there are any plans to scale Żabka Już Light actually around Europe, around the region.
Yeah, so we take a very prudent approach. We want to become the best in the cities where we are, provide the best service. And recently, as we just combined the two services together on one platform, I think that's the best offer one can get on the market. By having the quick 15 minutes delivery and 1 hour delivery of the bigger baskets within one application. So I think this is the core focus, to continue mastering it within the cities where we are, within Poland. And then who knows what comes next. So indeed, our mother company has progressed in Romania, but we're following it very closely, and who knows what comes next.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it's a huge advantage that you are part of one of the largest convenience store group in Poland, in Żabka Group, over the competitors, right, which somehow start from scratch
on the market? 100%. I think this is a huge benefit, and our relationship with Żabka are really amazing, because we have, on the one hand, operational independence, and everything we run, it is relatively independent. We are trying we're trying different things and showing the results to Żabka, how it is going. But on the other hand, we have huge support, which none of the or little of the players have. And of course, this is a huge advantage for us. And as a result, that basically helps us to be where we are, the market leader in the Q-commerce of Poland.
Mm-hmm. We are really proud that SIA Poland is part of the development of Żabka Już. Of course, we support you with the Dynamics 365 space. If you can share a little bit more about that, how this happened that the SIA showed up at Light.
Yeah. To be very honest, you were not the first partner that we had in the beginning, and it was quite a difficult decision to switch. But once we start our cooperation, it was very clear that the team is very professional. There are lots of knowledge within the team, and this knowledge is very specific to what we do. So we didn't spend too much time explaining what the requirements are, but we rather jump straight to the solutions. And I think these solutions are still in place. We use them as we operate on a daily basis. And basically, so far, the cooperation is doing well. We do have enough support, and I think it's pleasure to working with the team with such big expertise as SIA.
Mm-hmm. And if you can share a little bit, how did you find out about SIA Poland? How this happened that we got in place?
Right. So we got recommendation from Microsoft, and also we were reviewing the market altogether, and found out that there are handful of players in the market, and we reached out to pretty much 4 or 5 leading ones, and then we had a conversation with all of them and had the regular RFP, RFQ process, spending the quality time to understand what the company has to offer. And I think out of all, SIA turned out to be a great fit for our use case, great fit for the Q-commerce. And since then we work hand in hand.
Okay, Denis, any last words for our viewers actually, or I don't know, potential customers of Żabka.Już?
Yeah, just give it a try. Download the app from Żabka.Już. Try our quick service with delivery within 15 minutes, and definitely give a try to Delio with the bigger baskets and deliver it in 1 hour. If you live outside of big cities, then you can go for Delio Night, which is still available within Żabka.Już app. Also as a light e-commerce, our doors are always open for the strong talents, and recruitment is always ongoing.
Thanks, Denis, for today's meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.